Hello, students. I am Sachin Mundekal, Assistant Professor of English from New Horizon College, Kasturinagar. Dear students, today I would like to take a short class summarizing on the chapter called Money, written by Muppalla Ranganayakanamma. So, this particular chapter I'm going to take from the sections 2, the General English Course Book and Comprehension for the second semester BCom, BBA, and other courses by Rasranga, Bangalore University. So all the students who are listening to my class, your takeaway from this particular session would be a summary of this particular chapter called Money, a quick summary. Then the important points that are to be kept in mind when we speak about this particular chapter. So as we know, or as some of you must have heard, Muppalla Ranganayakanamma is a well-known Marxist writer who is best known for her work Ramayana Vishavriksham. She is a progressive thinker and a writer and was born in 1939 in the West Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh. She has written about 15 novels and 70 stories and many thought-provoking essays on gender equality, narcotic drugs, and the plight of women in Indian families. I would like you to listen to this once again. She's written thought-provoking essays on gender equality, narcotic drugs, and the plight of women in Indian families. Her important writings are an introduction to Marx's Das Kapital and Emancipation of Janaki. She writes in the most lucid manner to reach the hearts of the reader. As a Marxist writer, she opposed both governmental and non-governmental awards. Money is a short story originally written in Tapu in Telugu and is translated by N. Usha. It was first published in Andhra Jyoti Weekly. It addresses the social evil of dowry and how greed for dowry subsumes the human element in marital relationships. Okay, guys, so we have heard a short description about the author of this particular short story, Muppala Ranganayakanam. Imagine in 1939 she was born. During those days, from a small village from Andhra Pradesh, she could grasp such philosophical idea of Marxism. The Marxist ideology, the German thinker Karl Marx, who has brought in the Marxist ideology, which was rampantly spread all over the world, and she was, kind of influenced by this particular thinking. This would speak about an utopian idea of everything equal and egalitarian society wherein which there are no discrimination based on caste, color, sex, religion, economical disparity or whatever. So this is the philosophical mindset or attitude of our writer who has written this short story, Money. The short story Money in a gist. Money in the short story, we find mainly four characters. We have the mama and the son in law, the daughter in law, and later on we have a daughter and the father in law. Mama also could be the father in law. Okay. Now, these five characters. Very well. The story begins with a sentence, a surprising sentence like, a crore. A crore. What's a crore? Money, cash, rupees. So the story begins with a person who agrees to marry another woman if the father-in-law, the would-be father-in-law, agrees to him to give 1 crore of rupees. Okay, 1 crore of rupees. And there is a discussion that is going on whether the 1 crore of rupees or the property in the hand of the father-in-law, which is higher. Then there is that discussion, and at last, the would-be son-in-law agrees to get married if the father-in-law gives him 1 crore and 10 rupees. And it was fixed and he agrees to get married. But the father-in-law gives to the son-in-law the 1 crore and 10 rupees into 10 paise coins. Imagine a crore of rupees in 10 paise coins during those days. And it was, accumulated or collected in a tent in a shed. So the father-in-law gives the son-in-law the key of this particular tent. The son-in-law is completely, excited of receiving such amount of money, and he is in a kind of lots of dilemma whether you have counted the coins properly, who has counted them, if the workers have counted, have they counted properly, if there are any counting mistake, will you be paying it back to me, etc. These were the different questions and doubts and anxieties this son-in-law had. And father-in-law agrees to say that if there are any difference in the money, the father-in-law agrees to pay him twice the difference. If it is an 80 rupees difference, 160 rupees the father-in-law would pay. So that was the deal. And the son-in-law agrees. This greedy son-in-law agrees to get married. Immediately after he has got done with the wedding, he jumps up from the mandapa, the Kalyana mandapa, and rushes to this shed with the wedding gown and the wedding suit, and goes to this particular place and starts counting the money. And the story goes on to tell us that this person counts and counts, gets mistaken by the counting, or wrong counting. He does sometimes miscalculations, and he begins with the first bag again. So 1 crore and 10 rupees, he counts it and comes the entire life of he started counting. Like 24 years he sits and counts and he completes. And when he comes out of the shed, there remains, or there he finds two women. One around 45 years old, another one looks like the daughter of this particular woman. And he realizes that, aren't you the one whom I have married? Aren't you my wife supposed to be? Then he said, yes, you were the one who married me. That was 24 years before. Then he is surprised. 24 years? Yeah, you were counting the coins more than 24 years without food. It's in the story. Without much of distraction. You were focused on counting. And I came several times. I waited for 2 years, the wife says. The so-called wife says, I waited for 2 years, but nobody came and you didn't give me a response. And I went and married to a nobleman and who never asked me for a dowry, and my father agreed to that. Five governments have changed during these 24 years. My daughter got a graduation, and I got married to a nobleman without dowry. And I have a child, a baby girl, and she got, graduated, etc., etc. But you, such an idiot and, greedy person, you were sitting and counting them immediately after this conversation. And the wife says, I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you to come to me and speak so that you would understand your mistake. And I had to wait for 24 years to come and tell all these to you. I had come several times to tell this that I'm going to get married, I'm going to have a child, etc. But you never listened to me. You shooed me away, telling that I would miss the count of coins, etc. So this was how the wife conveyed it with lots of anger to this particular man. The so-called the greedy son-in-law who was busy counting 24 years, he says very interestingly, so very beautifully Ranganayakanamma has brought in the greediness part of the son-in-law. So he says, you know what? Now, wife says, now that you are happy that you've counted and you've got your dowry of 1 crore and 10 rupees. Huh? Then the son-in-law answers, huh, happy? Who is happy? 40 paise less. Your father promised me to pay double the difference. All lies. Who will pay me 80 paise? Both women turned to leave the place. After having said all these kind of things, after having known that the father-in-law has passed away during his 24 years, the course of time, the son-in-law is still focused or obsessed with money. The obsession of money is brought in through these lines. So, thus the both the women move away from that place and they have a conversation. And during that conversation, there comes out a very important point. The mother says to the daughter, "It was my mistake being an educated woman. I agreed to marry to this greedy person who required a dowry to marry me. And so I should not have done or agreed to that marriage with dowry. So the daughter says, Mother, you have learned your lessons. Now it is his time to learn his own lessons. Now, the daughter also says, I think it's the property that bring in the problem. So Ranganayakanamma brings in the cracks of the dowry system in India. In India, the dowry system began from the property issue. Now, it's been only a few decades that the property rights of India has changed. The amendment has taken place. Earlier, no women had a property right. So during those days, in a family, when there are property division that is taking place, the women of the family, the girl children of the family, never received any types of dowry. So since they did not own any property, during their marriage, the fathers of that wealthy family used to give a portion of money as a gift to that particular woman who gets married. Thus, the custom of dowry began. Now, the question that poses by Ranganayakanamma here is, what about that economically poor minority in India? Even when their girl children, when they don't have wealth to get married, etc., even they are forced to give dowry. They are not wealthy enough to give them. Even to their boy children, they don't have property to share. Then how come they pay a dowry for their own girl children? So that's how the custom of dowry slowly or gradually, what, came into the society. And there is this line that goes on saying like this, you know what, therefore, dowry problem is in reality a property problem. The issue began due to the property problem. And she also says dowry is as deadly as sati, imprisonment, and suicide. So, get into, dear students, as we study this particular chapter, literature always conveys values. Literature always conveys to you about the truth, the right thoughts. So let us take a decision as to avoid the idea and the attitude of getting money and getting married. So that is what Ranganayakanamma very, very, keenly, very strongly opposes. So the main point, so thus the story ends. So the discussion between the mother and the child, the daughter, the main crux, the main message thus Ranganayakanamma conveys to us is that the mania means the unending thirst or the fever for money. The mania for money cannot buy love and happiness. It can't heal ruptured relationship. So mania for money can't buy happiness and time. And also, the ruptured relationship can be never ever made all right by having money. So these days, when I go through the Facebook statuses and WhatsApp statuses, we say, you know what, people say money can't buy happiness, but money can buy a luxurious villa and a Lamborghini car. You know, again, they might say that they would think that that would make them happy. The materialistic things, as well as the, uh, the earthly things, can give you happiness to a certain extent, but the psychological or the so-called the mind-related, spirit-related, spiritual aspects would give much more satisfaction. So I would like to wind up the chapter by bringing out the main points that are discussed in this chapter. So first and foremost, we should see about the deterioration of the value of education that is brought in by Ranganayakanamma. The deterioration or the reduction or how the value of education has come down. How, where do we find that? Both the son-in-law and the would-be daughter-in-law, both of them were very well educated, but both of them agreed to get married only by, what, transacting dowry. So the education never gives you values today's world. That is a kind of a big problem. The education system has become a uh, commercialized structure now. Earlier, it was a value based and value transact, value conveyed thing. But now it has lost its quality. That is the first point. The deterioration of the value of education. The cultural significance of dowry, which is to be abolished. There is the disgrace aspect of it, social prestige that is, along with the dowry, but the social pressure and the cultural idea of dowry, which is to be abolished. That is the next one. Thirdly, the greed for money and the material thing. uh, Greed for money and material thing. And fourthly, time never waits for man. Time and happiness is not dependent on money. And also, here we find the property and dowry has interconnection. Dowry system merged in India was due to property disputes, due to property. And present day situation and present day situation is also discussed over here. In today's world, there is a frantic rush and workaholic culture that is existing. People might do extra time work, might do overtime in order to get extra pay. But whereas the family time, the time that you spend with your children, the siblings, your wife, always are at stake. So here at the end of the text, Ranganayakanamma conveys to us to strike a work-life balance. Work-life balance. You have to do work in order to earn money, which would give you the basic needs and a little more to satisfy your little wants. You can't ever satisfy all your wants. If you go behind fulfilling your wants, you would find that you are getting into a great despair. Thus, money becomes, this short story conveys to us a very powerful message. Money can't buy happiness, money can't buy time, but also money will never ever heal the ruptured relationship. Hope you've understood the main crux of this particular book, in this particular short story. And if you have any doubts, you can comment below. I would clarify that. And it was in a rush that I have summarized the entire thing. I want the video to be short and crispy so that you would understand crisp, so that you would understand the main points as well as the main themes that are discussed in Ranganayakanamma's Money. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you would like to listen to more such Bangalore University textbook summary as well as what presentation, you can subscribe my channel. If you've liked and if it was informative, you could also give me the like button. Thank you so much. Stay safe.